Hey everyone, it's Michael, Goosebumps fan. Today I'm going to be talking about the Goosebumps 2 Haunted Halloween movie, novelization, whatever you want to call this. It includes 8 colored photos from the film itself. They're not like behind the scenes photos, they're just stills from the movie with some words around them. I read the first novel for the first film from 2015. I did a review of that here on the channel in case you have any curiosity about checking that out. For anybody who doesn't know, I feel like if you're watching this video, you care enough to have read the book for Haunted Halloween. But it's not going to be a spoiler-filled review. It's not going to spoil anything in the film, pretty much. So just be wary of that. You know, I don't want you to think you have to leave the video because you haven't seen it or haven't experienced it yet. For anybody who actually cares, this novelization is, of course, the sequel from 2018, the one that I have right here that's now just called Goosebumps 2 for whatever reason on DVD. Why are movies doing this? Ghostbusters did this too, the remake with all the female cast people. It's called Answer the Call now, whatever reason. I like the movie. I actually think the movie is better than this book. The novelization is very dry, and I think a lot of people are on the same kind of place that I am about the film. The film is nowhere as good as the first movie in most respects, I would say. But it also seems to me that the film was a little bit more silly and funny, even compared to the first movie, but especially compared to this novelization of the script. And by the way, I'm not sure who wrote this. It says it's edited and introduced by R.L. Stine, but I don't know if edited means that he, like, wrote this version of the script to paper. I don't know if that means that. I don't think it does, because it doesn't feel like R.L. Stine's writing style, even with like Fear Street or Ghosts of Fear Street. Because those series feel a lot different from his typical writing style for Goosebumps, which is very playful and kind of fun and kind of creepy sometimes, but still. Haunted Halloween, I like the film a lot. I recently rewatched it for the second time. I uploaded my review here on my channel in case you care about that. I think the film, now that I've read this book, is better than this book, because the book comes across very dry. It's 160 or so pages, and it takes a little bit of time to get going, whether it be for the film or the book. And the book itself doesn't have what you would typically be looking for in a novelization. A lot of people like myself read novelizations of like the recent Halloween film, or like The Dark Knight, or Spider-Man, the first, or pretty much all 3 of the Sam Raimi films that Peter David did, the comic book writer. Because we want more scenes. We want new scenes that haven't been put in the film or ended up not being filmed at all that used to be in an old script. I love stuff like that. The Goosebumps novelizations don't have that. They usually have more things missing that are more ad-libbed by the actors and stuff on the actual set of the films, rather than things that are not in the script or not in the official final movie. You don't really have any scenes that are different here. You have some extended scenes with some extra dialogue, and that's about it. There's nothing else special really about this book, and really nothing worth picking it up for unless you're just a big Goosebumps collector and fan of Haunted Halloween specifically. It's okay. It's a very dry book. I actually think I like the novelization of the first film a lot more. That one feels more of like a straight-up adventure thrill ride. And even though I like the Haunted Halloween film, it is a little bit of a slower movie at first, and then it kind of takes off, and in the middle it kind of droops a little bit with slow pacing, which I don't have a problem with. I like slow films. But it also ruins the feeling of a lot of the portions of the movie. And the same thing with the story, too, for the book. It's not perfect, for the most part. Let's go ahead and talk about the actual story, though. For anybody who wants to know what this is about and just so happens doesn't, I don't know, if you're watching this video, again, you probably are already a fan of the film, or you've already seen the film, or you've already read the book or something. But for those who don't happen to know, this is a sequel to the 2015 film, but not a direct sequel. They don't have any of the characters in the book, or the movie for that matter, that were in the first movie. There is a cameo of possibly R.L. Stine in this, which is Jack Black's version of R.L. Stine, not the real-life R.L. Stine. That's okay. It's kind of tagged on, kind of sloppily thrown in there, so I don't really like that all that much, especially in the film. It's a little bit sloppily tagged on and edited in post-production. You can tell it's a post-production type thing. But anyway, so basically there's a girl named Sarah who's trying to write an essay to get into college about her fears, right? And about a time that she had to solve fears, or face them, or whatever. And she has a younger brother named Sonny. And Sonny's about 13 or so. And they have a mother, as a matter of fact, who is also a kind of like a nursing home type of nurse. She works in like an old folks home type thing. And she's gone a lot of the time, so she has the older sister, Sarah, take care of Sonny all the time. She constantly has to babysit the guy, even though he's 13 years old. kind of gets on the sister's nerves. You know, she doesn't really have much of a social life because of that. Now, this particular time of the year, of course, it's about a day or so before Halloween that this story actually starts. Now, the son, Sonny, the brother, Sonny, whatever you want to call him, has a best friend named Sam, and Sam actually, his parents are leaving town, and he has to come and stay with them during Halloween, essentially. So he hangs out with them. A lot of the story is focused more on Sarah and Sonny and Sam than it is anything else. But Sarah's just kind of doing her whole college thing and her whole boyfriend thing that's going on in the story. That's kind of its own little subplot that's kind of present throughout the book and throughout the film, but it's not very much in your face and actually mattersome for that matter. But anyway, Sonny and Sam actually have a little bit of a business they run. It's called the Junk Brothers, or the Junk Bros if you want to shorten it down to what they have it as. And they get a call to go to kind of an old abandoned house and just work for free, tear the place up. If you have any kind of trinkets or anything inside that they left behind, you can take it and keep it. Now, Sonny doesn't want to work for free, but Sam went ahead and set this up anyway, so they go ahead and do it. And they happen to find a little bit of a kind of a hiding place, some kind of little secret passage thing behind the fireplace in the building. And they happen to look in there, and there's a trunk, and they pull that out, and there's a book inside. It happens to be a manuscript that's locked, as a matter of fact, like from the first film from Goosebumps. So that's kind of cool that that was carried over to this film. That's one thing people don't talk about a whole lot. Even though this is a direct sequel to the first film, it didn't really have to have that book involved, but I actually dug that. I actually like the idea of what the book is. When you read the book or you see the film, you know what it is. I don't want to tell that to you. I don't want to spoil it for you. But the book is called Haunted Halloween. Not just this book, but the book inside of the book. So that's kind of cool how they explain what that is. And I really dig that. A lot of people don't really notice that that's what they're saying with this book. You know, so I think it's kind of cool. But anyway, they turn around again, and Slappy the ventriloquist dummy is inside the box. Now, one thing I talked about in my movie review for the film is that most people are pissed off a lot of the time because they didn't explain how Slappy got out of the books from the first film that he was trapped in. To me, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and say it here again, just like I did in that video. The thing with that is that Goosebumps has always had this mentality of there is no canonicity about anything, as in there is no matter of fact like, hey, your villain died in the last book, we have to bring him back in a certain way in this book and explain how he came back. Goosebumps does not have that. Slappy has died and come back over and over and over again. He should not be able to come back after the first book, for that matter. There's no, well, the second book. The second book. But still, that's neither here nor there. And it doesn't matter. It's not that big of a deal. For people like myself that are veteran Goosebumps readers, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I just had a thankfulness that Slappy is in the story at all. For the movie or the book. So Slappy's here, and they actually have the little card nearby, and they find it in like his pocket or in his hand or something. They read the card, of course the cursed words that bring Slappy to life, and they read the words and Slappy comes to life, but not immediately. He does, but he just kind of keeps it to himself. There's a bunch of bullies that beat up on Sam and Sonny all the time, so Slappy kind of pranks them a little bit. It's funnier in the film. I actually really enjoy that segment of the film. My grandfather was watching the film recently with me when I rewatched it, and he was laughing about that scene as well. Very funny, very cool. But this also has this cool little thing too where Slappy has powers in this that he did not have in the first film, kind of like how the books do. The books are like that as well. Like you'll read like a classic Goosebumps book of Slappy, like Night of the Living Dummy 3 for example, and he'll have powers there that never come back in the future books. And he'll have that constantly happen, R.L. Stine will, throughout like Most Wanted books and Horrorland books involving Slappy. He'll have powers that'll show up for one book and then they just disappear and they're never mentioned ever again. So I think it's kind of fun, kind of cool, honestly. But anyway, this whole story gets focused on how eventually it gets focused on, because again, this is a very slow-paced book. It takes a while to get to where I'm talking about anyway. Slappy eventually reveals his livingness, whatever, to Sonny and Sam, and explains to them that he wants to be part of the family with Sarah and Sonny and have a mother in their mother. And they don't like that. At first they're kind of cool with him, but immediately it turns into, we're scared of this guy, like he's going to harm us in some way probably, because he tinkers with a lot of different things around the house that involve Sarah and Sonny's lives. For example, Sarah has a pretty bad situation in her relationship, and Slappy almost kills the guy. It's kind of shocking in the film. It actually kind of surprises me every time I watch it. It just kind of makes your heart stop with what he does to that guy. But I won't spoil that, like I said. But with Sonny, it's actually Sonny has this obsession with Nikola Tesla. Of course, everybody knows who Nikola Tesla is. And this town that they live in actually has Nikola Tesla's lab that he abandoned at one point with the Tesla coil over top of it. And that's a big part of the story too, especially with the finale. I enjoy that because I like talking about Tesla and learning more about Nikola Tesla. So that part fascinates me. I know a lot of people don't like that about this movie, that Nikola Tesla is even brought up at all. It's almost like an otherworldly type thing. Like, why would you bring that into Goosebumps? I think it fits well. It has the same feel of like mentioning Frankenstein and Frankenstein's dog, the Most Wanted book that I love so much. But still, I don't get what the big hang-up is about the Tesla coil being in this movie or this book for that matter. I think it's kind of cool, and I think it's cool how it's utilized for that matter. But anyway, I won't tell you too much more, but a lot of this is focused on the kids trying to stop Slappy. You know, and that's really it. And it's not really adventurous for the most part. One of the abilities that Slappy has that I really like is that he can bring Halloween decorations to life. That's really cool. He can bring just other objects in life to life. You know, like in the film, he brings two little Street Fighter figures to life. And it's pretty cool. They actually fight on the shelf that they're standing on. I really dug that. It was cool in the film. In the book, not so much. There's a lot of things that aren't done as well in the book because they couldn't do them a certain way. There's a lot of name drops for like real life businesses like Walgreens and stuff. It's not my favorite book. It's not really that great, frankly. Haunted Halloween is not all that great. I think for the most part it's good as a film. It works best as a film. But this is a fantastic example in this novelization alone that you could not take movie scripts a lot of the time and turn them into novels. You just can't. And even with Goosebumps, it's hard to do that. The films don't feel like the books. And that's fine for what they are. The first Goosebumps feels a lot like a Jumanji film, kind of, in a way. And I like that about it. It's really unique. It has all the monsters and everything. I think the uniqueness of monsters in this are pretty cool, too. The only thing with this, the film has really great designs for the monsters. For example, the witches. I love the look of the witches in the film. And yet, in the book, they're just called witches. They don't really explain that they have, like, green globes, like Mysterio from Spider-Man. Like, they don't explain that they have those. They don't explain any of that stuff. They just call, like, there's a skeleton, there's a pumpkin, there's a witch, you know. It's not as cool, in my opinion. I really don't think it works as well. But for the most part, guys, I think Goosebumps Haunted Halloween is just okay. It's really not the best. It kind of sucks in some regards. Not so much the story as the execution of the story, the way it's written so dryly. Like I said, this is 160 pages. It takes a while to get going to the actual fun, slappy stuff that's involved here. One thing that's also cool is that, once again, in this particular book, just like in the first novelization, they have like little pictures and stuff on the page for like when chapter 4 comes up and stuff. You have little things surrounding the borders of the pages, like little splats and stuff. That's kind of unique. I like that. And of course, it has the 8 colored photos inside of it. It's not a complete loss. This is cool for collectors and cool for people that are fans of Haunted Halloween, the movie. So like myself, I'm glad I have it. I'm glad I've read it. I'm glad I talked about it here on the channel and reviewed it with you folks. But if I had to rate this book on a 5-star basis, I'd probably give it like a low 3 out of 5. It's not my favorite. It's as bland and okay as it could possibly be. Again, if you want a better execution of this, if you just happen to supposedly be the person who read the book and has not seen the film yet, I recommend seeing the film. The film is a lot better than this. Not by much, but enough to at least have the tone down right. Like, they had the tone the way they wanted it, even though it's tinkered with a little bit because of the pacing issues with editing being so choppy and stuff. But still, I like the film more, easily. I do. I don't see anything coming close to this book. Or this book coming close to that film when it comes to execution. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the books? What are your thoughts on the film? I would love to hear your thoughts down below, guys. I have a couple of videos involving Haunted Halloween coming up tonight after this video, so I'm excited to talk about those. Anyway, hopefully you'll tune in, hopefully you'll subscribe, and, well, I'll talk about Goosebumps stuff all the time, God willing. Anyway, thank you for watching. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today, and goodbye.